AITA for exposing my broke roommate after discovering he secretly owned the entire building? So my roommate spent 2 years pretending to be broke. He borrowed money, ate my food, complained about rent nonstop. Then one random conversation with our landlord exposed something so insane that I genuinely thought I was being pranked. And when I finally confronted him, everything completely exploded. I'm 26, and about 2 years ago, I moved into an apartment with this guy named Daniel. We met through a mutual friend. At first, he seemed normal, quiet, a little awkward, always wore old hoodies and drove this ancient Toyota that looked like it survived 3 wars. The apartment itself wasn't anything special either. Small kitchen, thin walls, terrible heating, but the rent was cheap for the area, so we both stayed. Now here's where things get important. Daniel always acted broke, and I mean constantly. Every single month he'd complain about money. If our friends wanted to go out, Daniel couldn't afford it. Order food? Too expensive. One time he Venmo requested me $3 because I borrowed one of his sodas. $3. Meanwhile, this guy reused Ziploc bags to save money. At first I respected it. I thought he was just struggling financially and trying his best. So over time, I started helping him out occasionally. Nothing huge. Sometimes I covered groceries, sometimes utilities. A couple times I even paid his half of rent because he claimed he was waiting for money to clear. And every single time he'd say, "I'll pay you back soon." Spoiler alert, he never did. But honestly, I didn't push it because he genuinely seemed embarrassed about money. Then weird things started happening. Every time something broke in the apartment, Daniel somehow fixed it immediately. Broken washing machine, fixed overnight, leaking sink, already repaired before maintenance arrived. One time the heater completely died during winter. The landlord said it would take a week. Daniel disappeared for 2 hours and suddenly an entire repair crew showed up that same night. I remember joking, "Bro, are you secretly friends with the landlord or something?" And for the first time in 2 years, Daniel looked nervous. He just laughed awkwardly and changed the subject. At the time, I didn't think much about it. Huge mistake. Fast forward a few months, our landlord announces he's visiting units for building inspections. Now our landlord was this older guy named Richard, kind of intimidating, never smiled, always wore suits for some reason. Anyway, Richard comes into our apartment while Daniel's at work, and while he's checking smoke detectors, he casually asks, "So how long have you known Daniel?" I tell him around 2 years. Then Richard suddenly starts laughing, and he says, "Wait, smart kid." I asked what he meant, and this man casually responds, "Most owners wouldn't live in one of their own buildings." I literally froze. I said, "Owners?" Richard stops talking immediately, like he realized he messed up. Then he goes, "Wait, you didn't know?" At this point, my brain genuinely stopped functioning. Turns out Daniel wasn't broke, not even close. His family owned multiple apartment buildings across the city, including ours. Including ours. Apparently, his dad bought the building years ago and transferred ownership into Daniel's name recently as some kind of investment. So this entire time, my roommate was technically my landlord. I honestly thought Richard was joking. Then he says something that made it even worse. Honestly, Daniel said pretending to be normal helped him avoid fake friends. Pretending to be normal? This man borrowed $20 from me last week. The second Richard left, I started going through every weird moment from the past 2 years. Every money problem. Every fake complaint about rent. Every time he acted stressed about bills. All fake. And suddenly I got really angry because it wasn't just lying. This guy watched me struggle financially while secretly sitting on millions. I had literally skipped meals before helping him cover rent. Meanwhile, he owned the building. So when Daniel got home that night, I confronted him immediately. And the crazy part, he didn't even deny it. He just sat there quietly for a second before saying, "I was gonna tell you eventually." Eventually? Bro, it's been 2 years. I asked him why he kept pretending to be broke. And honestly, his answer caught me off guard. He told me growing up rich completely ruined his ability to trust people. Apparently, every friendship he had before college became weird once people found out his family had money. People asking for loans, using him for free vacations, trying to move into his properties. So eventually he started hiding it completely. Different clothes, cheap car, cheap apartment, even fake financial struggles. At this point, I'm angry but also weirdly confused because part of me understood it, but another part kept thinking, you still let me pay for your groceries? Then things somehow got even worse. I asked him directly, did you ever actually need money from me? And Daniel goes completely silent. That silence told me everything. This man didn't need anything. He just accepted help because it was easier. I genuinely lost it. I told him he manipulated everyone around him for years. And for the first time since I met him, Daniel actually got emotional. He admitted he didn't know how to have normal relationships anymore. He said pretending to struggle made him feel less isolated. But honestly, at that point, I didn't even know what was real anymore. Then came the final twist. A week later, Daniel asked if we could talk again. I expected another apology. Instead, he handed me an envelope. Inside was every dollar I'd ever spent helping him. Rent, utilities, food, everything. Plus extra, a lot extra. I asked what it was for, and this dude says, you were the only person who treated me like a human before knowing I had money. Then he tells me something absolutely insane. Apparently, his family had been pressuring him for years to stop hiding his identity and start managing their real estate business full-time. And after our argument, he finally decided to do it. 2 weeks later, he moved out. New car, different clothes, completely different person, like watching Clark Kent turn into Superman. Now here's the weird part. Before leaving, Daniel offered me a job helping manage some of the properties because he said I was one of the few people he actually trusted. The salary was ridiculous, life-changing money. And honestly, I still don't know whether accepting it makes me a hypocrite or not, because part of me still feels betrayed, but another part feels bad for him. Now our mutual friends are completely divided. Some think Daniel's behavior was psychotic. Others think hiding his wealth was understandable. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here realizing my broke roommate was secretly my landlord the entire time. So, AITA,